So this week, you are going to look at who you are and who you were. When you started this climb, you were at the bottom. You were poor in spirit. You realized that you need God's help. You need God's help not just for your salvation, but you also need God's help for everything you do in your life. Everything that you need, everything that you have to do comes from God, and only He can help you. And you realize that, and you were poor in spirit, so God opened up heaven for you. He said, "You can come to me anytime now." Then you realize that you were a sinful person and that your sin was standing in the way of having a right relationship with Him, getting all of this heaven opened up to you. And God forgave you. When God forgave you, He gave you a confidence to become a stronger person, to become a meek person, meaning you don't have to be angry anymore. You can just relax and rely on God to help you with everything. When you realize you were forgiven and you understand that part, you became righteous with God. You became right with God. God now looks at you as if you've never sinned before. He's wiped it all clean. He's given you a new start. He's saying, "You are now my child. Now let me help you. Let me show you." And when you see Him helping you and showing you, and you realize that part, you realize that that everything that's going on is from God. You want it more. You want it every day. You want it all the time. You hunger for it, and He continually feeds you. You go to Him. You ask Him for something. You ask Him to help you, no matter what it is. You ask Him to put food on your table. You ask Him to give you your job. You ask Him to help you with your kids, your parents, your friends, work, whatever. You see Him helping you with this. And when you realize He's helping you with this, you want more and more and more. And God's going to give it to you. Heaven is unlimited. When you started this journey, heaven was opened up for you. And now you're here. Then you become merciful. When you realize that what God has done for you, that He's forgiven you, that He is helping you, you become the same way towards other people. Because you realize that they're in the same boat you were, or they're in the same boat you are. Either way, they deserve God's riches. They deserve God's help just as much as you do. You're the same. You're no different from them, so you're going to be merciful for them, towards them, just as God was merciful towards you. Now you get to the pure in heart. Blessed are the pure in heart, for they shall see God. So what this means is you have to stop and look. You have to look at who you are now and who you were then. Back then, when you started the climb, you were disgusting. You were a wretched sinner. There was nothing good about you. Plain and simple. That's God's word. There's nothing good about you. When God forgave you, when He opened up heaven for you, and when He started changing you, and He made you a right person, you realize that your sin was pretty bad. You start to recognize that I don't want to do that anymore. I don't want to be like that. Think about the people you see that are like that. You look at them and you go, "That's pretty disgusting." But yeah, remember, you were like that. You may still be like that. But God is changing you now. This is where you start to act like the new person that God has changed you to. When He forgave you, you became a new creation. When He wiped your slate clean, you became new. Now you're starting to act like it. For some people, it happens instantly. For most people, it takes a while. But you've got to go through the steps. You've got to climb this ladder to get there. Because when you do, that weight gets lifted off your shoulders. You realize, I don't have to be the sinner that I was. That now that I'm not sinning and that I have a right relationship with God, my life is not better, but my life is enjoyable. It's a totally different outlook. Yesterday you were angry. Yesterday you were bitter. Yesterday you were mad at the world. Today you're not. It's totally different than what you were. This is what it means by being pure in heart, that you don't want to sin anymore. And when you look at life differently, when God opens your eyes so that you can look at life differently, that's when you see God. You're not going to see him physically, because you won't get that till you get to heaven when you see Jesus. But you're going to look at the world differently. You're going to look at people differently. And that's the transformation. That's when you know, not just the people around you know, but that's when you know that you are a different person. When you can look back at who you were and look at who you are, and then look at who you're going to be when you get to heaven, that's when the change happens. When that change happens, you are going to be glad you did. Glad you made the move. You're going to want to do it over and over and over again. And when you get there, everything else doesn't matter. What matters is your relationship with God. That's the only thing that matters. Everything else will fall into place. Have a great week. Next week we've got 2 more to go, and we'll see you.